Be honest, did you ever see yourself coming this far in finance, when you cast your mind back?
No.
No.
Honestly, no. Something happened in the year 2000, and I pray that every young person goes through that experience. In the year 2000, I went for a conference by accident, a conference called the Winning Ways Conference. And I met
Ashimolo. Pastor
Ashimolo was one of them.
Okay.
I think he organized it, but it was held at, I think, the Christ Temple, the year 2000. But two amazing speakers, Dr. Miles Morrow and Mike Murdoch.
Is it Miles Morrow of blessed memory?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And Mike Murdoch, especially Miles Morrow. Miles Morrow gave a good message. Look, I bought the cassettes then. We didn't have the CD. I bought the cassettes then. I listened to that sermon so much that I could recite it at a point in time. Who am I? The 5 important questions in life.
Still remember?
Yes, the 5 important questions everybody needs to ask. And these 5 questions will stare at everybody, whether you sleep in the palace or you sleep under the bridge. What are these 5 questions? Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going to? What can I do? And it really got to me when I listened to that sermon after that conference. In fact, when I went to the university, one of the big downsides for me was church on campus.
Okay.
Because I met some leadership in church who did not have a balance in their lives.
Okay.
So I kept hearing statements like, your future does not depend on your grades. Your future is in the hands of God. The Christianity without balance, sometimes without knowledge, your future is in the hands of God. It does not depend on your grades.
There's a lot of limits in there.
Yeah. So psychologically, I had placed a limit on my life. And I had made some C's, some B's. I didn't really mind until I went for that conference. And when I went for that conference, that's when I got my favorite scripture in the Bible, Ephesians 3:20. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we imagine or ask, according to the power that is at work in us. God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we imagine. We imagine, imagination. We imagine or ask. It's not an ask. They are or
imagine
ask,
or ask.
So you can ask, and I learned from that conference that you can actually ask God for things. You can pray for things to happen, but your mind can also do the prayer. You can imagine for things to happen, and the scripture said God can do above what we imagine, according to a certain power that is at work in us already. And one of the important things Miles Morrow kept talking about, in fact, there's an important question he asked: what is the richest place on planet Earth? And I had my own answers, but his answer was a cemetery.
Why so?
The cemetery is the richest place because the cemetery is a place you will find people who were supposed to be rich, but who were never rich. People who were supposed to come up with beautiful songs that were never sung. People who were supposed to write books, several books
inventors.
that were never written, inventors that ended up in the cemetery. People who were supposed to build malls bigger than the Accra Mall, who never built them. So the cemetery is the richest place on planet Earth. And he encouraged participants not to add to the riches of the cemetery. You got to die empty.
Let's take the richness from them.
You got to die empty. Don't go and add to the riches of the cemetery. And I remember that conference so well. One of the statements he made was the fact that life is measured in donation, not in duration.
Break that down for us.
Life is measured in donation. Not in duration. It's not about how long you lived. It's about what you did within the short life you lived. And he compared Jesus Christ with Methuselah, who lived for over 900 years, and asked a question: what can you say about Methuselah? What did he do?
He just stayed longer, that's all.
And then you compare to Jesus, who lived for 33 years, and his impact. So in fact, I took inspiration from that conference, and I went back to school, and believe you me, in my final year, my worst grade was, I think, at 72% or so.
But then before that, you thought what you had was okay for you.
It was because
that's your strength.
Because the future did not depend on that. That was a misconception, and I want to encourage, especially church folks, that look, let's not hide behind being religious and be lazy and be mediocre, because I see too much mediocrity with religious people, especially the Krife brothers and the Krife sisters. They don't push in life. It's Christ is coming tomorrow, so let's settle here, and they don't give much. There are a few amazing ones who are doing well, but the majority, and it's because of this thinking. And I went through that challenge where I was told your future does not depend on your grades. Until I went to I went to that conference, and you know what? I went to do my MBA in 2005 up to 2007. Based on this thinking, when I was going to do my MBA, I was married, and I married an amazing lady, Linda, in 2003. So I was married, and we had a fresh baby. I told my wife at home that I am going to the University of Ghana. I read MBA Finance, and I said it in trees. Mikodi Festaba. I was going to be the overall best student. And you know what? I was working full-time with the same capital management. I work with Dr. Sammons, an amazing coach. I was working full-time, head of asset management at that time, managing the company, and I was in school full-time student.
And you were a family man too?
And I was a family man, had one baby. So we were living around Weja at that time, and my office was around Adabraka, and Legon.
And Legon was just all the way on the other side.
Exactly. And my mom was in Medina. So what I did was, within the weekdays, Monday to Fridays, I would normally be at Medina and the office. I was blessed to have two other colleagues who were also on the program. So around 9 p.m., we went to the office. Every day, Monday to Friday, we went to the office, and we stayed through the night till about 4:30 a.m. So we'll be in the office to clear our desks, respond to the emails, and study. In the middle of the night, when we are tired, we will get into a group discussion. George and a call. So for the 2 years I was in school, Monday to Friday, I slept in the office almost every day.
This was the routine for you?
Yes. And then I'll go home Saturday morning, spend time with the family. Sunday evening, drive back to Medina for lectures Monday morning. So you would find me either on campus, in the office, or at my mom's place resting in Medina. We did 2 years. We wrote 18 papers. I made 18 A's.
And this was because you had
imagined. Was all in the mind.
You had imagined, you had asked, and then God did beyond what you imagined for you.
There is no lazy student. When I was in JHS, I had a teacher. I'm still looking for him. When I selected Augustine's, he asked me to change it because he thought
you couldn't do it.
Yes, I wasn't intelligent enough to go to Augustine's, and I'm looking for him. I have.
I'm sure he's seen you now. I'm sure he's seen you now.
So there is nothing like, you should never tell anybody they are dumb, they are unintelligent. People just need that paradigm shift to believe in themselves, to have that can-do spirit. And once you push them, they can. Because when JHS, I got at grade 7 or so, I couldn't even make 6 once at that time, if my and then secondary school, I wasn't an amazing student. I made 12 or 14 or so. But this same person goes to do MBA, and then I made 18 A's.
18 A's.
Yes. Every paper I wrote. So when they publish the results, at those days they will paste the results. So results now about them, and then people are looking through, and people go like, whose number ends with 176? He only makes A's, and
you quietly come and watch and go.
And I walk away quietly.
Wow.
I walk away quietly. I want to encourage students and young people listening to me. You need to push yourself to the limits. You see, when you do your best and you don't get the best grades, within you, you know you've done your best. But don't relax. Push yourself to the limit. Because if you can imagine it, God can use you do it. God can do exceedingly and abundantly above what you imagine.
Yes.
What do you imagine? So imagine it. And I've told myself that if I ever went to school, met anybody from anywhere in the world, I will beat them flat in the classroom.
That's
Whether you are Chinese or Indian or Korean, it's in the mind.
This is YFM.